And hey howdy ho, what's happening out there, guys? Happy 420. Yes, just packed up a fresh old little chamber here on the volcano, so I'll get that blown up there now. And it's yes, we're just gone on to 421, guys. But welcome along to Monday, 17th of January. Yes, Monday 17th of January. Geez, we're halfway through the first month of the year already. We're flying, guys. Hopefully we might hear something from Gino Kenny soon on upcoming events to help publicise his cannabis bill. But as of right now, there's nothing to report from himself. Except what we talked about at the start of the year is that we will see a bill at the end of next month. So the end of February, we can expect something from Gino. So until then, I suppose I'll keep my ears open. I'm hoping to see some events get lined up by Gino Kenny. You know, some public information events to help inform the public as to the benefits of this bill that he's proposing and why they should be getting on to their local representatives and getting their support. You know, we need to get right across all the parties supporting this. Hopefully Gino will be successful in getting this to be an open vote where it gets voted on free from that party whip where all of the party members have to vote in line of the leader of the party. Oh, love filling up these bags. Oh, look at that. Nice thick clouds of vapor. So yeah, that's something to be looked forward to anyway at the end of next month. Gino Kenny's bill. Fingers crossed, something positive there to report on that one soon. But other than that, then I don't have much other news, positive kind of news there from Ireland at all. We haven't got too much news there really for today, but there is a couple of things I'd like to touch off of. I got a message on Facebook from a person who's going to remain anonymous, but it's a person who's frequented the 420 News. They've been in the hotbox on many occasions, and they've been always kind of commenting away there. But this person messaged me anyway. It was a person who messaged me about their partner, their boyfriend, who was locked up for cannabis. This was a person who was caught with some hash apparently. I haven't got all the finer details of like the amounts, the volumes or whatever, but basically all you really need to know is a person got caught with some cannabis resin, and they got sent to prison over it. I don't even know what prison they were sent to, but it was a prison here in Ireland. Again, that's pretty much all you need to know. And this person was only there for a short period of time and has since hung themselves and sadly taken their lives. So again, the prohibition here, you know, has the prohibitionists. You've got blood in your hands because this person didn't kill themselves over cannabis. This person killed themselves because they got caught with cannabis and they were being punished. They had their freedom taken away. And I can speak from experience myself as to what that is like to be locked into a concrete room, like with a steel door, and to be not left out, you know, and to have no control over that at all. I can definitely see where that person was kind of coming from it. That I was there, I had socks around my neck. I wanted to take my life at that time. That was my way of getting out of there. It's kind of an FU to the guards outside. It's like, you think you can keep me prisoner here? Well, I think again. But it's a horrible one. So my condolences to those involved, and rest in peace to the man involved as well, to the partner of that person. It's horrible to think. I'm not too sure if there's kids being left behind there, but there's a partner. From the messages, there's a sister there, so there's other siblings. Obviously, there's probably a mum and dad as well. You know, it's just fecked up. It's a real mess up. When people are subjected to that kind of inhumane treatment and torture to the point of where they get broken and commit suicide. Horrible. Cannabis doesn't do that as much as they want to say. The cannabis does that to people, and it causes, you know, what was the cannabis use disorder they're talking about, and schizophrenia. Like it's absolute nonsense. Some of the crap that comes out of the mouths of prohibitionists to support prohibition. And when you look at the harms of prohibition, again, check out that interview I done with Dr. Garrett McGovern over the weekend. And it was just shy of 2 hours of a conversation there. And we pretty much highlight this, you know, as how prohibition is much more harmful to the individual than the drugs are for a large part, you know. It's really messed up. Irish, nice one there for hitting the host. Nice one. Appreciate it. Let's have a hoots. So that's I hope the person doesn't mind, but look, that's to a person who's been named as I won't name the person, but rest in peace, condolences. Yeah, John Finnegan, it's horrible. It's not a nice message. That was sent to me late last night. Yeah, that was sent late last night to me. I woke up to it this morning and I was just kind of like, oh shit, how do you do it from what you do on that one? I haven't been too free today. I was quite busy for most of the day actually. Just got free there around 3:30. So I didn't get to prepare a whole lot of news for today. But that for me, I was just like, what else could you do after that? Like, it's just like we just have to kind of talk about this. Really, is to again check out an interview with Garrett McGovern, and we kind of really go into in depth on it in that. But prohibition is fucking up people's lives. Prohibition is sending people to a point, breaking people, and it's driving them to suicide. Again, the prohibitionists will say, oh, well, cannabis causes psychosis, oh, cannabis causes schizophrenia. No, where's your evidence to pack this up? Do you know? Because there's people presenting and they consume cannabis, presenting with psychosis and they consume cannabis. You can't say that cannabis has caused that. And that's been shown time and time again. That what is it? The correlation isn't causation, and vice versa. Correlation isn't causation. That's the right way of saying it. That's what we've been shown time and time again is that, oh look, there's people with psychosis and they use cannabis, so therefore cannabis must cause psychosis. No, it's not the case. And there was a headline that was going around again, and it was sharing a 2018 study. This is a study that came out of Denmark, I believe it was. Yeah, I think it was out of Denmark and Holland, I believe. And it was a very large study, in fairness. I believe they had 180,000 data points to go through here. So they had a lot of cases to go through. It was looking at people's genetics and genetic markers. And basically what they found in this study, I'm going to pop it up on screen here. And I haven't read all of the details in the study. Again, I've just looked at the introduction, the abstract, and the conclusions. And I had a quick brief through, or look through some of the methods and stuff. But again, this is looking at genetics and stuff, and it's just like flies over my head. But the conclusion was very interesting. What this conclusion found is that basically cannabis use doesn't cause schizophrenia. What they are finding in this study is that actually schizophrenia causes cannabis use. And not that a person has schizophrenia and they're going to use cannabis. It's that there's genetic markers that have been associated with increased risk of cannabis use. But it's not just risk of cannabis use, it's risky behavior overall. So these people can get involved in fucking parachuting, downhill skiing, rock climbing. I don't know, like you think of some dangerous sports, even boxing and stuff like that. Like these are genetic markers that have been associated with risk-taking behavior. But what they found in these is that there's 35 of these markers, and 16 of those markers overlap with markers for schizophrenia and psychosis and mental health disorders. So 16 markers out of the 35 markers have a relationship there. So what they're saying is that basically people who are predisposed to schizophrenia, who've got these genetic markers, well, these genetic markers are associated with increased risk behavior. I suppose that's kind of how they're looking at it. So what they're finding is that no, cannabis use does not actually cause schizophrenia, and it's actually the other way around. It's people who are predisposed to be having schizophrenia have an increased likelihood then of using cannabis. Maybe because of the side effects there, maybe it's somewhat beneficial to them. I'm not too sure. But that's what this study is showing. And so just keep that one under your hat and remember that, because when we hear studies coming out and they're saying, oh, cannabis use, schizophrenia, there's a relationship there. It's just like, no, it's the other way around. It's the schizophrenia, genetic markers with schizophrenia. People who are going to get schizophrenia are actually more likely to actually be users of cannabis because of just the behavior, the personality traits that are underlying there within the individual. You want to hear Bobby Smith talking about this one? And we didn't really name them the other day on the podcast on the interview with Garrett McGovern, but it was Bobby and Mary Cannon who were the two prohibitionists that were at the front of my mind anyway. I'd say maybe Garrett had a few others at the front of his. But they'll always spout this nonsense. Oh yeah, there's an increase. Look at the amount of people who have schizophrenia and use cannabis. It's like, well, there we go. We know why. And I think many people were privy to this anyway before these kind of studies were coming out. Many people knew it was just like, no, causation correlation isn't causation. So again, I'll call out the name of this. GWAS of lifetime cannabis use reveals new risk loci genetic overlap with psychiatric traits and causal influence of schizophrenia. So there you go, guys. That's the title of that study. And again, there's a conclusion of a little excerpt, a little thing written down here. Basically, Mendelian randomization analysis revealed 35 genes associated with cannabis use. Difference is some of these genes may account for a higher tendency to smoke cannabis, but most surprisingly of all, up to 16 of these genes found to be associated also with mental health problems, among which schizophrenia. This phenomenon is known as genetic overlap and was used by the researchers to prove that while there is a link between cannabis use and schizophrenia, there is a weak evidence for that link to be causal. Contrary to what's believed to be the most likely explanation, the researchers think it is more likely that schizophrenia leads to cannabis use rather than the opposite. In fact, the study suggests that schizophrenics are genetically predisposed to feel drawn to cannabis and are therefore at a high risk of developing a habit which might have contributed to the belief that cannabis is a cause of schizophrenia. And this is a little clip out of the conclusion there as well. Taken together, these findings suggest that risk variants, they named the variants there, are associated with a broad profile of risk-taking, optimistic and carefree personality. So that's what they're talking about here with these gene profiles. So that's the personality, I suppose, of a person with these kind of genetics. They're prone to the risk-taking, to be optimistic and carefree personalities. Cannabis use has previously been associated with related personality traits, including high levels of impulsivity and novelty seeking. So there you go, guys. Again, cannabis use does not cause schizophrenia, and it's actually the other way around. Shout out to everybody in the audience. What's happening out there, guys? And I have to give a shout out as well. I see one of them in the audience to my lovely, wonderful crew of patrons over there. I just noticed earlier on today, I'll pop this up on screen, that I got 13 patrons at the moment, guys. It's unlucky for some, but not for me, because the 13 of you guys are contributing a combined whopping 4200. There's a 420 in there. That's I have to start giving more credit out to, or shout outs to the patrons, but thanks very much to all 13 of you. I see one of you in the audience there, but much appreciated, guys. You all know who you are, but yes, we're in that magic number area there. So I thought that was worth a mention. We'll give a quick shout out to them all, will we? So we'll use the names that are here. So we've got Adam DT, Fermior Glass, Constant Gardeners out there. We got Laurie, we got David, we got Jimmy, we have an Amy in there. What's going on? Conan, Cliff, Alisha, Raymond, and John O'Regan. What's happening, John? Well done, nice one, John. I see John is in there. And it's not a competition, but the oldest patron I have in there, who's the longest standing patron? And I think it's, yes, I think, oh wait, we have an October. Oh, October 2020. So John O'Regan takes the title of being the longest standing patron. So thanks very much, John. This is a little chair for you, John. You're a legend. Absolute legend, John. Thanks very much, man. So a bit of appreciation there for the patrons, guys. Thanks very much, and to everybody else, guys, in the audience. You're all wonderful as well. You all take time out of your day to tune in here to listen to me rant about this stupid prohibition, and to tell some depressing stories that come from it as well. I know I tried to look into positive stuff, but woo. So yes, well done, John. Nice one. A nice one as well, Fairmore, Glass, and Amy, and everybody else on that list too. And shout out to Hype as well. I haven't seen Hype in the audience for a bit, so Hype, hope all is well out there, buddy. Thinking about you. But Hype's a big supporter of the show there as well. I haven't seen Hype in a bit. Anybody else out there know Hype personally? Send him my regards. Tell him I was asking for him. People in the audience who's out there, yes, I see a lot of condolences coming in there as well for that horrible situation where a person took his own life in prison because of being caught with cannabis resin. There's probably maybe a significant amount of cannabis resin. Maybe the person was worried. Maybe they knew that they were getting Judge Sean O'Donovan, and we know what happens there with Judge Sean O'Donovan. You know, it's a sick situation. Judge Sean O'Donovan, in this case, I'm going to pop this up there now. Believe it was Judge Sean O'Donovan in this case. Just going to make sure it was before. Yes, it was indeed. So this is an old case. This is one I've linked recently to an article, but it was two men in Cork. They were caught with €70,000 worth of cannabis, and one of them got 8 years and the other one got 10 years for the crime. This is a case of two men, and I think they might be, they're named there within the article. One of them's 57, the other one is 31. But that's a significant amount of time to be getting for what is a tiny amount of cannabis. In fairness, like 70,000 harmful outcome of cannabis use. Like we just shown there that it's a lie, it's myth, it's a hysteria, and it needs to be called out. But these people need to be released from jail as well. Like this was only a case from 4 years ago. Sorry, 2018. 4 years ago. So these guys are probably still in prison at the moment. Maybe they're due for early release now soon, but still it's a horrible situation when these people are getting this for that kind of a crime. And again, like, just going to give a couple of seconds of a warning about the next case that I'm about to pop up on screen, because it's a distressing one. It's involving rape, incest, I suppose, as well as involved in there, where an older brother was raping his younger sister. It's absolutely horrific, like. But this lady waived her anonymity in this case, just to have her brother named and to get it known, you know, that other women who find themselves, other victims who find themselves in this situation need to come forward, you know, and to speak out against their oppressors, you know, against the people who've victimized them. Because it's horrible what goes on, but in this case it's horrible because this guy got 7 years, and what's even more horrific is he got 1 year suspended. So I don't know, did he get an 8-year sentence and 1 year suspended? But it's absolutely horrible, and like, I'm gonna name this guy. He's a fucking horrible individual, John Paul Hegarty. From the age of, I believe he was 15 or 16, he was raping his sister until he was 18 maybe. He stopped raping her because she started menstruating. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was up to, and he stopped at that point. Like, but she talks about it much like the case that we talked about as well there last week. And I'm sorry, guys, for bringing these cases up, but it's horrific. As a father to two daughters, we need a serious reform of our justice system in this country, where individuals who do these kind of crimes and they're getting that kind of a sentence, and meanwhile, like, these men, like, you know, they're getting longer, 8 and 10 years, over €70,000 worth of cannabis. This guy apparently raped his sister every day. So John Paul Hegarty, the sick prick, he basically was raping his sister every day, and he got 7 years in prison. And the judge sympathised with him. Who's the judge in this case? It's not Judge Sean O'Donovan, is it? I hope it's not Judge Sean O'Donovan. Like, jeez, man, shame on you if it is Judge Sean O'Donovan. Justice Deirdre Murphy. It was a lady overseeing this one. Like, you got lucky, John, or Sean. You got lucky. But a case that Sean O'Donovan did oversee, which is just as sick, but just on a whole different level. This is a case I talked about as well in the past, and you can go looking this one up if you want. 6 stalker jailed over threat to rape co-worker and her daughter, and this is coming out of Cork. And this is a case that was happened down in East Cork, done by a man down from West Cork, apparently from Rosscarbery here, a guy by the names of James Steele. And again, guys, like, remember that name. He's only 52 years of age. This guy is going to be back walking on the streets of Ireland again in a not too distant future. And basically what he done in this case is he got obsessed with one of his co-workers and was sending her all sorts of inappropriate messages and stuff like this. You know, like, oh, it was complete. I'm not even going to repeat some of the stuff, but it was horrific. But it ended up with him outside of her house with a rope and a shovel, after threatening to rape this woman in front of her own daughter, and then he was going to do the vice versa, rape the daughter in front of the woman and then kill them both. Like, absolutely horrific stuff. He had all of these text messages sent to this woman, and the cops caught him down in Youghal outside of their gaff with the rope and the shovel. And guess, Judge Sean O'Donovan, guess what he gave him in what he described as a very worrying case. Like that, there you go. In sentences, Judge Sean O'Donovan said it was a very worrying case. Like, very worrying. Sick. Did you, like, seriously, the messaging that went down there, it was horrific. Like, horrific. And is it any wonder that women are not really coming forward, reporting some of the stuff that happens to them within society that really is not okay? Is it any wonder? And in this case, anyway, the judge gave him 7 years and 2 years suspended. Horrible, like 2 years suspended. Like, this guy should be getting locked up to the maximum that the law would have allowed, because this guy the intent was there. He had the rope, he had the shovel, the messages was there. He had laid out what he was going to do, what he intended to do before he got there. Luckily, the Gardaí intervened in this situation, that they weren't after fucking coming across two young fellas in hoodies who smelt like weed. Because imagine if that happened. Like, imagine if those cops who intervened with this individual early in the morning, I think it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, they caught this guy down in the housing estate. Imagine if they were busy, you know, down outside of parks or something like that with some young fellas who were having an old smoke in the car, and they didn't intervene with this guy. This is what we have to remember when we send our Gardaí out there enforcing prohibition, that they're not going to intervene. They're not going to be where they're supposed to be. They're not going to be preventing these kind of sick crimes happening. But when they do, then, like, look what happens then. 5 years. 5 years is all this guy is going to spend behind bars. This was a case that happened only earlier this year. It was from February of last year. So this guy is going to be back out in the streets of Cork or wherever, Ireland, within the next 4 years. While these guys, you know, these guys are going to be locked up for another while, a bit longer. Sick system. I really don't understand it at all. Just gonna pop open the YouTube there and keep an eye on the comments coming in, because Streamlabs app seems to be a bit glitchy at times. It's kind of like losing half of the comments. These guys, you know, boom. Yes, Scatanist. What's happening? Scatanist is out there as well. Amy Riley saying, thanks, Martin. Support everything you do. Thanks very much, Amy. I really appreciate the support. John O'Regan says, I'm the longest subscriber. Woo! Well done, John. Nice to see you in the audience as well, bud. Bogwan's son out there as well says, I'm moving to Germany this year and it's going to be so different. Mad to think how backwards Ireland is. Best of luck over there with that move, Bogwan. I really hope it goes and it is everything that you expect it to be. Little hoot there for you. Get another bag going, because I should have a special guest joining me there in a few minutes. Make sure the window's cracked open there as well. Yes. Others out in the audience just looking there. Scatanist, what the F? She sympathised with the perpetrator. Yeah, it's backwards, isn't it? So like Scatanist saying here, where's the sympathy with his victims? There's none. It's so messed up. And meanwhile, like, you'd get somebody up in front of them for a couple of cannabis plants that they might be growing. Imagine if you, Scatna, started you the sick friend, and your sick friend came and they were given a terminal diagnosis with cancer or something, and you wanted to be able to provide for them, say the Rick Simpson protocol. Let's say you wanted to try to use that for them. That's what they were requesting. Like imagine, and then you got caught with plants. Let's say you decided you wanted to grow 24 white widow plants, and you were going to make a big batch of cannabis oil from all of the plants for this one individual. To have maybe a 3 to 6 month regimen there of this cannabis oil following that protocol. You would get a lot longer in prison than those individuals, because your 24 cannabis plants, €800 each, that puts you over that €13,000 threshold, which means that you can get a minimum mandatory of 10 years. Like that's what that law requires, a minimum mandatory of 10 years for anyone caught with over €13,000 worth of drugs, which cannabis is defined as a drug. So if you get caught with those 24 plants, which off the top of my head, what's that work out as? 16,000, €18,000 thereabouts. So that's 13 years or 10 years in prison you're supposed to get for that. And meanwhile, like if a guy is outside you, if your mum, your sister's gaff, or whoever, your aunties, with a rope and a shovel, and he's after threatening, I'm going to break in and I'm going to rape you one of the nights, and next that he only gets 5 years. It's like, what kind of a system is that at all? Really, and we have to think about this in light of what is going on lately. We hear all of this stuff after the unfortunate case of Aisling Murphy above there in Tullamore, who got killed last Wednesday. We hear all of this, so call out men, call out the men. It's like, no, we call out the justice system, call out the inefficiencies within the justice system to seize our Gardaí diverted away from patrolling and keeping our community safe, and doing the opposite. They're making our communities more dangerous, because the prohibition that they're wasting so much time enforcing empowers these organised crime gangs, which just makes a massive mess out there. We look at our prisons. The prisons are filled with people for drugs, and those guys, like, they're not getting the sentences they're supposed to be getting. It's just so backwards. John Phantom is the devil's lettuce. It makes you crazy, lazy and dumb. I suppose I can live with that. TG saying I need to get one of those bags. Yes. Better clear it quick before the little man comes. Scatness there saying the government and all their judicial cronies need a torch, like, start anew. I feel like now that we're in the centenarian of the Constitution is the best time for it. Because the Constitution is just 100 years old. Yeah, that's very true, Scatness. That is very true. Martin has about 7 spare bags. I know this for a fact. Yes, we do indeed, Bogwan. We do indeed. Billy Bond says Cornwall cannabis consumption is commencing. Yes. There we go. Cheers, Billy. Enjoy. Give you 1 sec there, guys. Alright, you get like a 5-minute warning there, I think. Squeeze another bag in, maybe. DB Woodcraft has a question. Nice one, DB. Oh, very interesting question there, DB Woodcraft. If it had been a sex worker who was killed in Tullamore, would there have been any vigils held? That's an excellent question. I wonder what the narrative would have been in the media then at that point. But I do think this is a very relevant question as well, because the prohibition of sex work, much like the prohibition of cannabis causes problem, that creates a seriously unsafe environment there as well. So is this not a conversation that should be happening as well after the Aisling Murphy thing? Because like this is a scary world, and there is some sick individuals out there. And if you're a sex worker, like what protection do you really have? like you're relying on men to protect you, like, but quite often or not, what we find out in the sex work world, it's men that victimize them, whether they're pimps, if you want to call them that or whatever. But yeah, no, that's an excellent question, and I would have to say that I would believe that there probably wouldn't be too many at all, if any. Maybe there might have been a vigil held by the sex worker groups, the rape center, is it the rape crisis place? But yeah, there wouldn't have been the public outcry like there was, because the stigmatization that's there because of the prohibition that is there of sex work. So excellent question, DB, and very well observed as well. Because I believe that was more of an observation really than a question, and no, I think it's an excellent one to make as well. One of the worst murders ever in Ireland was committed by two sisters, so this whole men are bad thing is all feminist driven. Yeah, I think so as well. I think there's a lot of virtue signaling going on there with this fucking men shite. Like, again, I pointed it out there last week that I'm shocked that that's the narrative that's been had around this, rather than like the judicial system, where there's all sorts of heinous crimes against women being committed against young vulnerable kids, and the sentences being handed out are paltry. You know, quite often or not, for women coming forward in these cases, they're questioned. They're not really treated like victims. They're more kind of like, "Hey, you trying to victimize somebody else? No, we're just trying to figure out if you're telling us the truth or not." It's just like, okay, I can understand, like, you don't want to empower a person to be able to victimize somebody else just through their own word, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, what's the value of it? They're going to question me, and even if they're able to find him guilty, he might only get a year or two and he'd be back out again. It's like, sick system. Hunter K. Question: do you think Bobbert and Mary even read these studies properly, or just take out the parts they want to hear? I think what you just said, they just take out the parts they want to hear. I would definitely agree with that there, Hunter. And I definitely think that was something that Garrett was kind of pointing out as well, is that these people will only reshare stuff on their social media that suits their narrative. And when they're called out and the holes within it, they never want to answer then. They run for the hills. Not that they're ever present anyway. They basically post and ghost the likes of Mary and Bobby over there on Twitter. They post stuff up and they ghost on. They'll never respond even to the positive stuff that comes up there. I've never seen them respond to even any positive comments. I know them to be proven wrong on that, but I've not seen them comment. But it's interesting, I wonder what their lives are actually really like. It's kind of what do I do for fun? Like, does Mary enjoy a glass of wine? Like, Bobby, did you enjoy an old cigar, Bobby? Like, what's your voice, Bobby? You surely got some form of voice, or are you some sort of fucking saint? Mary the saint. Mary should be canonized. Get it? Hey, Mary Cannon should be canonized. Fucking shoot her with a cannon. Jokes. Don't want to wish harm upon any woman. Scanis says this has got nothing to do with feminism. It's that women are exponentially more affected by violent and sexual crime, and violence against women is essentially old societal generational issue. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with feminism, but I think the narrative has been hijacked to suit this kind of feminist agenda that's out there at the moment. And it's like, it's okay to kind of discriminate men in ways. Hunter K says, I can't wait to see the day they're out of jobs, etc., because of the way they act about all this sort of stuff. Oh, that was a big lungful. Nice. Switch off that there now. Make sure that we get the place cleared out for the little man arriving up in a few minutes. John Figgin says, this reminds me of a certain guy from Manchester. He says, ask him a few questions and instead of answering you, he blocks you. Yes, John and Billy seem to have gotten blocked by our buddy Outlaw. Outlaw has been questioned on some of his recent actions. One of which, I'll tip my hat to him, and one of which, it seems like Outlaw is after getting access. I'll get up his page here now. He's basically after seeing an opportunity to acquire a domain that's related to the joining the police in the UK. So I'll pop it up on screen for y'all to see there now. So, boom, there we go. So he says someone go to jointhepolice.org.uk and wait a couple of seconds, and they had to change all their domains and advertising a while ago when I got hold of it. And basically when you click this link, you go to the Join the Police. It's basically their recruitment page. And this is what he's done. He's hijacked it. This is the pop-up that comes up. It says, join the biggest gang of legal criminals and huge ego, enjoy telling what to do, love following orders. Why not join the corruption? Last year we had over 3,000 allegations of police corruption, but don't worry, less than half are properly investigated. Drug crimes, bribery, theft, falsifying evidence, fraud, sexual misconduct, and unauthorised disclosure of information are just a few of the bonuses that seem to come with joining the police. So, like, I'll tip my hat to him, like, this is quality stuff. But what Billy is pointing out then is that actually if you go to what is it, join the police.co.uk, is he's no, this is not the one. 1 second there now, I'll just go over to my messages and we'll pull up the one that Billy had sent. But basically there's a number of mirrors of the one domain, and Outlaw's basically just gotten access to one of them. And Billy's kind of saying like, hey, you're kind of being a bit thing, but look, I'll lay off on this one. I think this is good. I think what happens there is that Join the Police, they probably buy up a number of domains, and they never rebought this one, and Outlaw had identified it. So what they were probably using all along was the one that I was just trying to go to, which is, it's joining the police. That's why it's not gone there. There we go. That's the one. Boom. So there we go. This is kind of what you should be landing on. So this is apparently what the actual website is, and Outlaw is saying that like this is the website. So there's, it's up for debate. Like, I think what happens here is that they do buy up all of these domains, the .org, the .co.uk, the whatevers. And they just basically let this one lapse, which is .org.uk, which is a weird old ending to it, .org.uk. So it's an organisation in the UK, so I'm not too sure what the requirements are to be buying these domains, but it's funny that Outlaw has been able to buy this one that was apparently belonging to the police. So when you X this off, he's also replaced it with this video. There's a video up here as well. I'll press play on this.
Sit in your car, shut up. And if you want,
I'll rewind it.
sit in your car, shut up. And if you want to fucking step to me and puff in your chest out and stuff like that, then fine, I'll lock you up. We'll do that, shall we? I'll make something up.
I'll make something up.
Let's go up to a police officer. Should I do that? Who are they going to believe, me or you? Who are they going to believe, me or you?
Nice cop, isn't he?
You can film all you want.
I will do, man. Don't worry about it.
Sit in your car, shut up.
So who are you going to believe, me or you? Like, imagine it. Like, what are you supposed to do in that situation? Because the cop is right. Like, if it's you up against the cop in court, and if you didn't have video evidence, like in this situation, like, who are you going to believe? They're going to believe the cop quite often or not. So it's a funny one. But he's changed around some of the apparently what's the landing page. The joining the police is life changing, not just for you. It'll also change the lives of everyone you help. It's a challenging, varied, and intensely rewarding career, and you will join amazing team working together to reduce crime and keep people safe. Be one of the 20,000 new police officers and be a force for good. Click here to see a list of police corruption. So let's click here. What's he got? And so he brings you to his files, 2020 to 2015. So this is apparently a PDF. All the police corruption that goes on, and there's a lot. That's a lot. this is all apparently police corruption. That's a lot of stuff going on there within the cops, like. So fair play again, like, you know, if this is Outlaws' work, good stuff. Like that, this is good work highlighting the problems within the police force and the power that these people are given. And like when you combine that with the prohibition of drugs, like, you know, giving these people power to be taken advantage of by organised crime groups, same organised crime groups who are like, you know, doing all sorts of nasty shit within communities. Like, have people seen this? Actually, I'm just gonna go over to Netflix for a second, guys. There's a Yoki over there, TV show. Hey, you see the families mix up.
Wow.
I'm just gonna mute this. What was it called? Guns and stuff. I think that's what it was called. Oh, it should be in my continued watching. Is he coming up to me? One second there now, everybody. Hello, little man.
He's laughing at everything's fault.
Oh. Need that there. Yes, so we got the little man after joining us, and we'll get back to what we were just trying to do there as well. Oh no, 1 second as well. Falling apart in there. Sorry, Armed and Deadly. This is the one. I don't know if people have seen this, but I'd suggest check it out. It was pretty good. I've watched the second season. Now I'm going back watching the first season of it. But within the second season, there's some very interesting episodes in there. And it's the first episode of the second season, Gang Wars. That was the one. Gang Wars is what the title of it. I'm not too sure why. It's like only in episode 3 and 4. I don't know where episode 1 and 2 are. But within episode 3, you see some sick stuff going on there, and pretty much a lot of it is coming from, it's been fueled by the prohibition of drugs. The violence then you see within this, how the violence over generations just gets worse because it's always one trying to overdo tit for tat. It's like if you're going to like give my guys a few boxes, we're going to give your guys even more boxes. And then they come back, it's like, oh, you gave them more boxes, we're going to come back with sticks, you know, you're going to come with sticks, we're coming back with metal bears, or metal bears are coming back with guns. And that's kind of what's after happening over there, and it's all centered around turf wars. And so it's very interesting. Check this one out. So it's over on Netflix at the moment, Armed and Deadly. I click into this there. Hopefully I don't get pulled off for showing this now up here. But where is this guy's interview? This guy. So we'll just watch a little segment from this guy. Let's unmute this.
In this market,
Matthews, this dude's name.
Were you a gangster?
Matthew Norford was one of the most feared men on the streets of Manchester. Together with his brother Gary, they ran the Rusholme part of the city, close to its notorious Moss Side.
So you've got two brothers who had, 9 gang members under him. All you other gangs have got like 40, 50 members. So my brother taught me it's all about quality over quantity. Take it 10 steps further, meaning if someone points a gun at you, go and shoot that person or their gang members. Someone comes to mum's house, we're going to go to their mum's house, kick the door
I just
off,
spotted you're not
put a
actually
gun in someone's
seeing
mum's
this.
face. That's what you have to do if you want to survive in that life and not be taken as a mug.
Every day that Norford was in his gang life, he'd be armed and ready to protect his territory.
Our typical morning would get up, say 9 o'clock, my phone's rang, go and serve a couple of drug addicts.
So basically
Come
this
back,
guy
brush my
is
teeth, roll a spliff, put my black jogging suit on, my bulletproof vest, my gun on my waist, call my brother and 2 of our gang members, and we would literally get on 2 sides of the road, ride our mountain bikes, no-handed, in broad daylight with our guns like that. So we're riding no-handed,
he's
just
just
like
talking,
that,
he's like,
looking down the street,
hand out like this.
making sure no enemies are in our area.
kids. I don't know when they're kids, they're like 15 or
We
something
see
like
you, we
this.
just
like.
start squeezing because we've already got it. We were really
Kids
living
cycling
that
around
life.
with guns. Sorry, no, I only realising now that you're not seeing the actual video that's up there.
In August,
But I'm not going to play anymore. Go check that one out yourselves, guys, if you want to go see that. But that's Armed and Deadly. That's what it's called. It's over there on Netflix. Armed and Deadly.
My employer has acquired the land surrounding.
But let's get back to this. Let's have a look at what else Outlaws up there. Anyone else who feels insignificant, you didn't even need to know the law. So yeah, so that's what Outlaw was doing. But apparently Outlaw has blocked Billy and John now from all of that. Just click this off. Boom. Let's swing this little man around. Oh, everybody say hi. Hey, turn you around this way so everybody can see you. Any smiles for the people out there? Any smiles, mister? Oh? Oh? I wonder what's going on. Trying to get this guy, keep this guy in frame. Once I'm going to adjust the camera there, so maybe adjust the camera for you. Yes. Daddy daycare up in here. Yes, Bogwan Son's 40 plus viewers. Don't forget to hit that like button, folks. And he says it all helps. Nice one, Bogwan Son. Appreciate that, dude. John Regan says the solicitor said the same thing to me. Who will the judge believe, the guard or you? Yeah, that's something that's been said to me as well, John. I've heard that one in the past. And they know this as well, you know. We don't need the video really to back it up, even though you kind of do to defend yourself. But we know this kind of shit goes on out there. Mustawa says started watching that just last night actually. Oh, nice, Mustawa. It's pretty good. I would recommend it anyway. Definitely going by the second season, and I went back and started watching the first season now, and it's like the opening of the first season actually is nuts when they're showing you the arsenal of weapons that are held by the I think it was like the Manchester police or one of the police districts over there. Anyway, it's nuts. These guys got like machine guns things inside of there, and they're coming out like kicking in people's doors because they're growing some cannabis with these guns. Absolutely insane. Oops. That was a big old burp. See? That was a big old burp. Canaman, what's the name of that? Armed and Deadly anyway, Canaman, so hopefully you caught that. Sorry again, I didn't realise that the video was after being blocked out on Netflix there. They don't want me to be giving any spoilers. John Roach, how much you charge in an hour? Yeah, 420 an hour. 420 because these little guys are hard work. Hunter K says like, share, subscribe, people's nice one, Hunter. And John Finnegan says he's so alert, he looks like his daddy, whoever he is. Yeah, people have been saying he's looking like the postman, like, but I don't know. Everybody's saying he looks more like his sister Alexis, actually. If so, I don't know if you can see that resemblance there. We'll see. Let's see. Give him time to grow up and take shape. Canaman says it's a family affair, Martin. Deadly. Yes, indeed. Yes, Elijah, definitely. He loves to come up here from time to time, as well as Alexis. But Alexis only likes to join me for the games. Otherwise, she likes to sit behind me there sometimes and be like, you know, that's not right. What was she giving out to me the last day? It was like for saying Happy New Year to people. It's not New Year's anymore. It's like, and it was the 6th. But yeah, family affair. Again, this is Martin's World, so the name is aptly chosen, I suppose. Again, it's just kind of inspired by Wayne's World, but it's kind of in my own head, like it's welcome to my world. I'm letting you into my world, and to open up the as to how prohibition has negatively affected my world, how it's turned it upside down a lot of times. So that's kind of why the name of the show is the name of the show, Martin's World. So yes, this guy and my other kids, they are my world, and they're what's motivated me to kind of speak out and put myself on the line, if you will. Do you know, a little pun in there, online, streaming. But I put myself and my freedom on the line in order to try to improve society and the future world that these kids are going to grow up in, and their kids, and hopefully their kids and their kids' kids, and so on and so forth, you know, for many, many, many generations that to come. I really do hope that what we're doing here, by removing prohibition, by enabling better harm reduction in society, by putting proper controls in place in terms of access to drugs for younger folk, we will improve society, you know, better education, better regulation. I see it just as being a win-win for everybody, young and old, drug users, non-drug users. I think it's... I'm up for debate. Anybody who wants to debate me, I'm up for debate. I'll never turn down a debate. Any prohibitionists out there, if you've got a podcast and if you're a staunch prohibitionist and you come across this little clip, gladly I'll take any invitation to debate. That right, little man? We fight any man anywhere. Tell him, fight any man anywhere. Hunter K says 9 tickets left for the raffle, 2 people's. Oh, nice one, Hunter K. I forgot about that. Yes, guys, 9 tickets left, guys. There's very little tickets left, down to the final 9. So €10 ticket, guys, and there is 3 amazing prizes up for grabs. Each prize equally worth €100. So 3 amazing prizes. They're mystery envelopes, but all you know about the mystery is that it's a €100 prize. So if you're not in, you can't win. Buy 1 ticket, you could win 1 prize. If you buy 3 tickets, you could win all 3. If you buy all 9, then you could have a good chance of winning all 3. Shout out to Daily Talker, I believe, who's probably the top ticket holder out there. Hunter K, close second, I'd say. You alright, mister? Do you have something to say? And just say, free the weed. we show you Elijah's I'll get up. I think we can click into that. Yes, we can. Show Chrome. There we go. There he is. Rocking the old baby grow. So people might have been like, obviously if you're a normal watcher of the show, you know I've had a kid recently, so you'd understand why there's a baby grow over on the martinsworld.ie merch store. I'll pop that up on screen there as well. So you go to the shop, go to the merchandise, and you might have been wondering why that's there. Well, that's there because I ordered one. So I just was like anybody else. I think Bhagwan's son, congratulations, Bhagwan. He had a daughter, I believe. He had a daughter there, and I don't know if did you call her Martina in the end, Bhagwan? Jokes. But I just left it up there for the crack. But it was for this little man. It was this little guy I got it for. I got this before he was even born, like. So boy or girl, they were going to be rocking this. But yeah, that's him rocking that anyway. What, mister? You giving out? Everybody sees your fat rolls. Hey, there we go. Oh, who's that? Oh. Right, no. Happy out again. Right. we might get 6 more minutes. We might be able to roll on up to the next 4:20 with you, but I won't be able to partake in the next 4:20. But that's all good. I've had a nice little vape there before this little man arrived, so it's all good. Canaman says, if none of my numbers get picked, I just hope Chase is doing good. Nice one, and nice one. Chase is doing very good. He's still having a bit of a problem with his nose, and we haven't gotten to the bottom of it. There's an endoscopy. I think that's what not an endoscopy, biopsy. They have to do a biopsy of his nose soon enough. So we're going to hopefully finally get to the end of it. But yeah, that's his next visit out, and he has to go under anaesthetic and all of that stuff again for that. So yeah, but he's doing good. He's in good spirits, fine and healthy, good weight and all of that stuff, getting good exercise all the time. So yeah, nice one again to everybody who has supported that raffle. In case anybody might have forgot, it was Chase had to go down and get a CT kind of scan. I can't remember what it was actually called. It was a scan he had to get done anyway. It was costing $700. So a friend of mine had given those 3 mystery prizes as a gift to do the raffle, to kind of come up with the funds there to cover that. So much appreciated. Yeah, what's up? Will be long more now, and this little man here will be climbing all over the dogs, pulling them. Alana Ryan says, nice to see you doing well and still fighting the good fight. You have come a long way since I met you in Cuban's nightclubs many years ago. Nice one for that, Alana. Appreciate that. Cubans, Jesus, that's many years ago. All right, Jesus. Oh, messy nights. Oh, thank God I've given up the drink since then. There was many mornings I've been waking up after nights out in a nightclub. Jeez, there was once or twice there where I drank and drove, and it was a frightening one because I'd no recollection of it. I just had gotten blackout drunk, and you just wake up the next morning and you're trying to piece it together, and that's a very scary. It's frightening. Like to have a completely blackout nights, and there was many nights where I've had like blackout situations, just having flashbacks, and there's like pictures on my phone, and just like, I have no recollection of that. That's so scary. Like, oh man, cannabis has definitely been by far the better choice anyway. At least when it comes to the kids anyway, because I was useless as well for like 2 days after a night out. I'm a lightweight. Like, I'm a bad patient when it comes to the hangovers. Yeah, you laughing at me now, mister? What? But I hope you're doing well out there anyway, Lana. And who else is in the audience? John Phantom says, how many kids you have, Martin? 2 daughters and 1 son. This is Elijah, and we have Kelsey and Alexis as well. Kelsey being my oldest. Daily Talker says, I see it like this. You give money and you may or may not get something nice, still less risky than buying off the streets. Much appreciated, Daily Talker. Monsieur Fudge, what's happening, Monsieur? Hope you're all well out there, bud. He's in the audience. John Finnegan says, young Elijah, so much more cuter than young Jamie. Barely get to see young Jamie. But yes, this guy is adorable. Sit down and stare at him all day. It's mad to think though, like, because of cannabis, that I would be taken away from him as a dad. It's like my consumption of cannabis does not make me a bad dad at all. It does not actually take away from my ability to be able to be a dad for him. It's mad. But yet there's sick people out there think that because you were growing cannabis or you got caught in possession of cannabis, that it's okay to lock you up, to take your freedom away. It's like, who's actually really getting punished? Really? Come on, like this guy and his baby grow up there, like Cannabis Reform Ireland, because he doesn't want his dad to be locked up in prison. He doesn't want to be growing up without a dad. And there's many kids out there right now, this very second, without a dad, because in a sick system over in America, there's people still in prison serving lifelong sentences. And you've probably heard of this group, the Last Prisoner Project. I'll pop them up on screen anyway, just because they're fucking legends. And there's other groups out there much like them as well. But this is probably the most well-known one in my in my eyes. The Last Prisoner Project, and they're doing some tremendous work over there where they're trying to get all of the cannabis prisoners out of jail. And they put up some moving posts there over the Christmas period where kids are kind of sharing their experiences of growing up without their parent there. Most of the time, majority of the time, I think 99% of the time, it's the father is not there because the dad got caught with a couple of pounds of cannabis, and he was moving across state lines or some shit like that. And it's just like, oh yeah, no, I'm 25 years in prison. Mad stuff, like, mad stuff. So at the time over in America right now, when cannabis is being sold openly in many states, being used for medicinal reasons, you still have people over there serving life sentences in prison. Crazy. Crazy to think. Like, was it not just in the UK there? Only recently, I seen that within the last month that they actually started what was it called? Spending the convictions of people convicted of what was it, sodomy? Is that the word? Or yeah, was that the word? Buggery was the word. That was the one I had a giggle when I read that. I was like, buggery. Those two buggers over there. Now I get where that saying actually comes from. Is that where it actually came from? I never knew that. Like, you know, bugger off. But buggery. So apparently 2 men engaged in sexual acts. That was a crime, and it was only recently that in the UK they started clearing people of their convictions. Like, that's mad. Like, how many people actually have convictions over there for that? Sick stuff, like. But you know, go back to the point, and you know, there's people out there right now like serving 25 years in prison, because they got caught with a couple of pounds of cannabis. And meanwhile, cannabis is being traded on the stock market, and people are making millions and billions off of it. Jobs, hundreds of thousands of jobs being created right across the states, right across Canada, soon to be across Mexico as well. Mad. It's a mad world we live in, guys. It really is. You know, a really mad fucking world. And here we are in Ireland, and this is what we're doing. 8 to 10 years for cannabis. Alright, that was 4 years ago, but that still is going on today. It's a minimum mandatory. It still is the law today, like, so there's no denying that. And yes, it's 4:22 because I missed 4:20. John Phantom, nice one for the reminder there. Sorry, I kind of was just going off on a bit of a rant. But yes, it's 4:22, and 4:20 is, or 4:22 is 4:22. There we go. Yes. Owen McMahon says, what's the crack, you two Flevians? And John Phantom says, yeah, there is one guy that got the 1990s crime reform, 3 strikes and you get life for 3 joints. There you go, it's 3 joints. That's an absurd law that they have over there in the US. 3 strikes. That's like 3 federal laws you break and you're screwed. You're screwed. Oh no, thank God we don't live in the US, Elijah. Even though I say that, actually, I wouldn't mind living in the US, to be fair. Imagine how different your life is just based upon where it is that you're born. Like I suppose you say that, like, oh, check your privilege, boy. You know, this is like, because, all right, I could equally be born in fucking, imagine how horrible it would be to be born right now today in, like, say, Palestine, like, and there's bombs and shit like that being dropped in you because apparently there's a terrorist organization in your neighborhood or some shit like that, like, you know. Some mad stuff going on out there, you know. But it's crazy, like, that we continue to this inhumane treatment here still to this day. And that's what it is. It's inhumane the way we treat people who use cannabis. Isn't it? Yeah, it's so inhumane the way we treat people who use cannabis. Yeah. What do you think? Should we legalize cannabis, Elijah? Yeah? Yeah? He says, yeah. I don't know. Did you hear him? He says, yeah, to me. We see what else is happening out there in the news. As I say, guys, I didn't have a whole lot of news lined up for you. It was just only after getting back to the computer there at about 3:30. But I did want to again just offer my condolences there and say again thanks for informing me of that situation. And I hope to maybe follow up. I'll do another interview there. It'll be probably just an anonymous be a blog post over on the 420 News blog, but I will follow up with some more information there on that once I get it. But again, my condolences to everybody involved in that one. So what's happening out there in the news, in the Google alerts? I see they were recirculating that art news about the Garda sergeant. Apparently the DPP are just like moving along with his file. It's interesting in that case with this John Murphy, who got caught with the more than €13,000 worth of cannabis that they were talking about. He never took up his bail. I wonder why that is. I wonder what's the story there. Like, you know, why did he not take up his bail? Why is he staying in prison when he could easily just take up the bail? Here's another case. A Wexford man. A Wexford man was growing cannabis in a hidden cupboard in his garden shed. And a man who was growing cannabis plants, and this is over on the Wexford People. Pop it up on screen there for you to see. And again, I shouldn't have put this up now because the guy's name is there and stuff and his address and everything. But a man who was growing cannabis plants hidden in a cupboard in the garden shed was fined €250 by Judge John Cheadle at Wexford District Court. Name's the guy here, saying he's from Wexford. He pleaded guilty to the offence, which was detected by Gardaí on May 14th last. Sergeant Victor said Gardaí went to the defendant's home with a search warrant and were brought to a shed in the rear of the garden. There was a large cupboard with an 8-foot by 4-foot table against it, and inside the cupboard was a black tent with a zip, which when opened revealed 3 mature cannabis plants. The setup included infrared lighting, a fan, temperature gauge, and an extractor to reduce the smell from the plants. No, sorry, the extractor is actually to extract air in order to encourage airflow. A carbon filter is what you need in order to reduce the smell from your cannabis plants. Just to get you up to date there on your what it is that you're talking about there, Mr. Sergeant. But the sergeant went on to say that it contained 3 plants with an estimated street value of €800 each. The defendant had one previous conviction in 2002 when he was fined €200 for possession. Ed King's solicitor said his client voluntarily brought Garda Mulqueen to the shed and made a voluntary caution statement. He said the defendant was 42 years old and worked in a factory. It was accepted by the Gardaí that there was no question of the cannabis being sold. It was for his own use. The judge imposed a fine of €250 and allowed 6 months to pay it. He ordered the destruction of the cannabis plants. €250. That's not bad, but it's still bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's not bad considering what the actual punishment allowed for is in this case. Because of the 3 cannabis plants, I believe this guy could get up to 5 years in prison because the judge could have moved for a sale and supply, even though there's no evidence there of it. There's a significant amount of cannabis being grown, and the judge could have moved to it. So this to me says that like we're heading in the right direction in a small sense of that word, like a tiny step. Like, you know, we're taking about a quarter of a step here in the right direction. But it is showing progress there. This judge is showing definitely that this person is not engaged in like anything serious, like 3 cannabis plants, right? They're trying to say it's worth, what's that, €2,400, and they're only giving him a €250 fine. That's not too bad. You got caught with €50 worth of cannabis and you're getting €250 fine is kind of what I'm saying. So guys, like, just take that on, like, think about this, alright? You're walking around the streets with €50 worth of cannabis in your pocket. You could be getting the same amount of a punishment that you would get if you have 3 plants at home. Think about it for a second. What does that mean, guys? Don't be risking going out buying €50 worth of cannabis anymore. Grow your own fucking cannabis at home. If you've never been caught with cannabis before, grow your own cannabis at home, because, like, look at this. This says you're only going to get €250 fine for it. It's like you're more likely to actually get caught buying cannabis from a dealer on the street, because the dealer could be getting watched and the cops then could go and target you and hopefully you fold on the dealer. Because again, like, listen to that interview from 95 there from the RT archives. These dealers are a number of steps ahead of the cops, and the cops are going to get you to trying to get you to fold on the dealer. So again, you're much more safer to be growing your own cannabis at home. So this, I'm glad I came across this article there now, because this to me is just, again, a call to action for you out there, guys. You know, just a call of empowerment for the community. You start growing your own cannabis. They're treating it now like personal possession. €250 fine, and you're getting 6 months as well to pay it. It's like happy days, happy fucking days. And Temple Grower is saying he recommends micro grows. Nice. Just be careful with the micro grows, that you don't do the excessive numbers, because that's where it might come against you in these situations. I would definitely agree though, the micro grows are quite good. But if you're going to be growing tree plants, I would definitely say like a good veg period would be called for. You know, maybe veg one a shorter period, get that in flowering earlier, and then veg the other two a bit longer, flip them a bit later. Then get a bit of a system going there with your tree plants or something. But guys, look at this, like tree plants is being treated like personal possession. So guys, what are you waiting for? Get on to thegrownation.ie, get up and grow, deep root gardening. They're just a number of the cannabis grow shops that I know of around Ireland. There's many of them. You know, you go into, again, I'd encourage you at the shop locally. MyGrow is another great light supplier here within Ireland. I think it's mygrow.ie. Again, you could be getting all your supplies here in Ireland and set up and be growing your own cannabis quite easily. Like you think about it, like the cost of a setup might be about somewhere in the region, depending on what you're looking to set up, 500 to 800 euro. Like how long is it going to take it to be spending that when you're buying cannabis on the street? And if you were to be growing those tree plants, you could potentially be getting anywhere in the region from like 3 to 15 ounces off of those tree plants, depending on how good or poor you grow them. Like, imagine that return every 3 months. Every 3 months you're able to get or every 4 months you're able to get somewhere in the region of 3 to 15 ounces, depending on your green thumb. DB Woodcraft, again, another excellent question. When is the Citizens' Assembly due? It's not due at the moment, but it was supposed to be early this year. But there's been no announcement as of yet, so it's all up in the air as to when that's to happen. But fingers crossed it'll be announced within the next few weeks. But yeah, there's been no announcement on the Citizens' Assembly as of yet. John Phantom asks, are basements common in Ireland? No, they are not, John Phantom. I'm not aware of anybody, anyway, in my mind, who has a basement in their house, except people who have, like, apartments. No, basements are definitely not popular in Ireland. Most people who tend to grow in Ireland tend to go to the attic, which is something I would advise against. Unless it's all you've got. If it's all you've got, then do it. But just be careful, because that's where you're most susceptible for the fucking helicopter detections. I would definitely recommend a corner of a bedroom or a spare room in the house, a little pop-up tent. That's the way I would recommend anyway. John Phantom says, even if they let us grow 6 plants here in Florida, I still am only going to grow 2 well-cared for plants. And there you go, John Phantom. Like that's a very, like, yeah, most people won't even grow the limit that they're allowed. But it still is ridiculous that they're putting a 6 plant limit in place. It's like, why? Why limit it at all? Well, we sit you up. No, there we go, little man. Noel Milan, free to eat for mana. Free to eat all over Ireland, not just for mana. And you want it all for yourselves up there in Fermanagh, is it? Oh, little man's giving out to me. Do you want your dummy again? Yeah. Will we call her a day? Will we get one more news article? What do you think? One more news article, Mr. Dribbly Mouth. Yeah. Let's see. Wow. Leave us time for one more. What? No. Shake. There we go. No. What? No drop of the grape water from. He'd be mangling the dummy then. No? What do you think? I think the little man is going to be getting a bit restless. Let's see. Yes. Nice one, Daily Talker. Daily Talker got the link up there as well for mygrowlight.com. That's the link there for the Irish light producer. He's producing some top quality LED lights. And I would definitely recommend them. I've seen some grows being done with him. Shout out to the Podge if he's out there. And I believe Temple Grower has some, and also yes, Temple Grower up there as well, recommending the Migro in the comments. I see that nice one, Temple Grower. Aye, don't you be spitting that dummy out. Ah. But yeah, they are excellent quality lights, and they are Irish made. I believe he makes some above in Dublin, I think is where he has his base of operations. And he's got a really cool YouTube channel. I believe I've had it up here once or twice on the show before. But he does some really good reviews of lights up there, checking out all of their efficiencies and power and all of that stuff. So it's really good. Noel Milan, how did the plants get on nationwide? Did you use outdoor? How did the plants get on nationwide? Did you use outdoor? Most of the plants that I planted last year anyway got removed by the cops, so they basically they died because of removal. And did I use outdoor? I was gifted seeds, and a lot of them were actually hemp varieties. So yeah, they would have been considered outdoor. B9F says, I heard the 52-seater coaches are all booked in South Donegal, heading over the borders for the drink. And Frosty Jack is using an Array 3 on YouTube at the moment. Nice. Yes, my grows are getting out there. That's the Array 3 is one of my grows lights. Hey, why'd you be spitting your dummy out now? Yeah. Maggie Simpson. Yes, Shane is a legend. Yes, I agree with you there. Temple Glory does some great videos. John Phantom says, I have a 4 by 2 foot or 1 square meter tent on Amazon with a 2,000 watts of lights and everything for about $500. 2,000 watts of lights. That's a fair old bit of lights going there. Fair play. What else is in the inbox here? We'll have a quick look and see what else is in the inbox. Anything else? Government reviewing Dangerous Drugs Act for medical cannabis. That's coming out of Code Blue. Cannabis versus COVID. Is cannabis your best friend? And that's on Kiddo Talk Radio. What? Oh, mister. You bored? Oh. Nothing else in there. And then from Saturday's headlines over the weekend, anything of interest? Oh, he's giving out to me. And we sit you up. Oh. We sit you back up. Oh. You do that. What? You're good now. You're good. I love his little hands. Tiny little fingers. So cute. Yes, so cute. Yeah. All right, we'll have to start loving you and leaving you guys. It's been great to be able to deliver the news. But this guy is going to start to get a bit restless. And he's going to require a bit more of my undivided attention there now shortly. So, oh, you got enough fright? What happened? Oh, Jeannie Mackers. You got an awful fright there. What happened? Oh, what happened? Jeez, you got an awful fright there. I don't know what happened to him at all. You thought I was going to drop him, did you? Did you think I was going to drop you? Oh, he's getting a bit restless now, so he's like, come on, Dad, bring me for a walk. Oh, you get him changed there now into something warm, and I think we'll bring him out for a walk with the dogs. He loves that. He loves a bit of fresh air. Doesn't long be knocking him out, and he sleeps well then for the rest of the night. Oh, my baby. Come on, we go for a little walk. Yeah. You give you back that. Oh. 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 Little chicken nugget. Oh. There we go. Oh, I know what's up with him. There's sleepy eyes on him. Yeah. Big sleepy eyes. He's like, Dad, you've me awake telling the news there all the time and you should have been rocking me to sleep. Oh, you get so tired. Alright, so guys, we as I said, this guy's going to need... Oh, come on. He's going to need some proper attention there. So I'll catch you back here on Friday, guys. And keep an eye out for more interviews dropping. I'm trying to arrange something there at the moment with Vera Toomey. That was something else, actually, guys, I wanted to get to today. Vera Toomey had some issues there over on Facebook and Instagram. She's her access to... Oh, alright. Oh. 1 second, and we relocate him. Man. No. All better now. All better. But as I was saying there, Vera's got lost access to the Instagram and Facebook, so she's outlined it all over on Twitter. So if you haven't seen or heard from Vera on Instagram or Facebook recently, that is why. Get over to Twitter and you'll see it there. But I'll have a post up in the blog about it there as well in the next day or two. Been chatting with Vera over on Twitter, and hopefully I'll have her on the podcast within the next few days. So keep an eye out for that. We're trying to just work out a time that's convenient for both of us. Oh, yes. So catch you all again later, guys. Keep it blazed, stay blazed, keep it lit, and much love and peace. Say bye, Elijah. Say bye, everybody. Say bye. Say bye-bye. Yeah. Say bye. Okay. No. Peace.